Hiya, it's me, Daisy. Today, Mario is out saving my cousin Peach again. How does she get kidnapped so much? Seriously, so much. Mario is a tough guy by always having to save her from Bowser. Don't know how he does it. He does it every time, and he's willing to do it every time. It's a good guy right there. But because he's not here, there's no one else but me to show you around this Mario Party map. A very special fantasy edition. And I'm here to take you around and show you what we've got. So, without further ado, go ahead and grab your dice and let's go ahead and get this party started. Let's go. Welcome back, Fantasy Fiction Fanatics. It's great to see you again, and I hope you're doing well. Happy Halloween to everybody who celebrates Halloween. I hope you guys are going to have a wonderful day tomorrow on Halloween Day. Hopefully, you guys will let me know if you are dressing up, and if so, what as. Obviously, you can see it is a Mario Party year for me. I am doing Daisy, and I'm really excited because tomorrow I'm going to be wearing this all day. Doesn't matter where I go or what I do, I'm going to be wearing this outfit. Unfortunately, I don't really get very many trick-or-treaters around here. I might have told you guys this in previous years. I really love handing out candy to trick-or-treaters, and I really wish there was more trick-or-treaters for me to hand out too. But since there's not, I don't really have the plan to hand out candy to trick-or-treaters. But if you are, I'd love to hear what you do for trick-or-treaters, if you do anything special, or if you just hand out candy. But yes, I hope one day I live in an area that has a lot of trick-or-treaters so I can see all their fun costumes and I can dress up and stand out there, hand out the candy, and just give joy to other kids. I've always loved doing that. Even in high school, I used to help my parents hand out candy, and I love doing it. And I love dressing up. It's really just a fun time. So, would love to hear about your Halloween plans and what you usually do to celebrate. And if you have kids, hopefully you're taking them out trick-or-treating. Okay, so I feel like Mario Party does fall into the fantasy genre a little bit because it's kind of fantasy-esque kind of game. We've got ghosts and all that other stuff that comes alive, and princesses. And Peach always gets kidnapped by Bowser all the time. Mario, like I said, is a strong dude. He has to save her every single time, and he always does. But I feel like she needs to work on not getting kidnapped so much. I mean, yeah. Anyway, so I love all Mario games. That's why I thought it would be fun to dress up as Daisy, as well as my boyfriend is dressing up as Luigi, and they are a pair, so it's really fun. It's my first real year being able to do a matching costume with somebody, so I'm really excited about that. And I guess let's go ahead and get started in today's book. We are doing a book discussion this week on Kill the Queen by Jennifer Estep. I haven't read too much by Jennifer Estep. This is my second novel by her, and it's really, really good. So I really wanted to discuss it with you, share it with you, maybe inspire you to read it. Though, of course, since this is a book discussion, be aware if you haven't read it, this will definitely have spoilers. So just keep that in mind if you're going to watch this one, that if you haven't read it, this will have spoilers for you, and you might not be interested in that if you think you might read it. So let me just pull up my gloves here, and we can go ahead and get started. So this book is a high fantasy. I think it's kind of a unique high fantasy. Has some different elements than normal high fantasies have. Different kind of concept, not a normal high fantasy concept like is in the big journey and the defeating evil. It's more a little bit more contained of a story, but still excellent nonetheless. And before we go ahead and get started with the different points to talk about the book, let me just go ahead and do a big recap or a quick recap of the general storyline. This is book 1. I believe there's 3 books of this series, so we start off with this luncheon that's happening with the Envari diplomats. And Everliegh, who is cousin to Versilla, let me say this in a better way. So there is a luncheon that is happening with some Envari diplomats. This is in the country of Bologna. And Everliegh is our main character, and her cousin, Versilia, ends up killing both the diplomats and tries to kill every single person at that luncheon. All of the royalty, the Blair, who is the family line is the Blair. So all of her family, Blairs, and the diplomats are all being killed. Luckily, Everliegh manages to escape with her life and a recording of the events of exactly what happened. So she escapes, gets out there, and has to hide. So she sneaks into this woman named Cyrilda's Glatiator Troop. She joins the troop and is hiding there secretly. Nobody knows who she is. So she becomes a member, and she ends up training in the gladiator fighting. She works in the kitchen baking goods. She becomes just a regular member of the troop. After saving a fellow gladiator's life, her name is Paloma, from being poisoned by a different gladiator named Emily, Everliegh is forced to fight Emily in a black match, or a black ring match, which means it's to the death, during the next show. Everliegh manages to win, thankfully, and Versilia ends up being there to see the show. Again, luckily, Everliegh is not caught. She does not recognize Everliegh at that point, and she ends up being safe still with the troop. This is when Cyrilda decides that they're going to move the troop to a different country. They are traveling in the snow, and Versilia has sent a Magir to kill this group, and he is a weather Magir who is making this giant snowstorm that is very soon going to be killing the whole troop if they can't manage to get out of it. Everliegh helps kill the Magir and saves the troop. But unfortunately, the troop has managed to wander into the territory of the Ungers, and the Ungers do capture them. Then she offers to dance a very specific dance. It's a ceremonial dance for the Ungers that is one of peace. Like, if they dance it correctly, then she wins peace for the troop to reside with the Ungers. And she performs it flawlessly, saving the troop with this dance. So, after that incident, everybody now knows who she is. It is revealed her true identity and exactly who she is as being the last Winter Queen. And Cyrilda wants Everliegh to challenge Versilia for the throne. She wants her to take over because Versilia, she knows, is evil. So Everliegh decides to do it. She's like, okay, I will challenge my cousin and try and take the throne from her. And Cyrilda trains her hard. Trains her to hopefully be able to beat Versilia. So Everliegh ends up challenging Versilia at her ceremony for the coronation, and she ends up winning the battle and killing Versilia. So, and takes the throne for herself. Okay, so first let's go ahead and cover the point of view and the plot. So, starting off with point of view, the point of view in this particular novel is first person. It is from Everligh's point of view as she goes on this adventure. And there's a very strong connection because of this point of view with Everliegh and what's going on with her and exactly how she is managing to survive through this ordeal and through this whole progression that she makes in order to challenge Versilia for the throne. And the progression of the story is really nice. So we really see where she is at the beginning. Of course, this attack comes very early on in the book, but we still get a little bit of a sense of who she is as she is starting out. And we have later in the book and everything that comes up and it's like, okay, yes, this is who she is. And then as we keep going and keep going, we have this really nice progression of development for the story. The story is paced really well in the progression of how we get from point A to the ending, which is point B. And a really nice progression with our characters that are slowly building and changing and affecting each other, and how Everliegh especially is being molded and shaped to the point where she can get to that end result, which is taking on Versilia. So I think that overall the plot is really, really strong. I think the progression is really, really strong. The character development is super strong. And then constantly something is going on in this story. So we start off crazy. We're setting up for this luncheon and then everything goes nutso. And then she joins this Glatiator Troop, which is about fighting and violence and everything going on. And we've got her trying to hide her identity, and we've got that she almost gets discovered, and you know, these different things that are all making this story very much a high event story. There's always something going on. There's not any downtime. There's always some kind of reason to be moving forward and wanting to pick up this book and wanting to see what's going to happen next. So we have a lot of progression and a lot of things going on with each step of the way. And then we also have that it ends on this high note. So we started on this high note with murdering of everybody, and we end on this note of this giant battle for the throne, good versus evil in a way, because Versilia is a very corrupt person who just is crazy for power. And we see that they're clashing, and the battle goes on for quite a while. It's a pretty decently laid out battle. It's not just like 2 seconds in, like, oh, she's done, like all that, and we just defeated her. So instead, we got a nice battle going on where high stakes, either of them could win, and then we, boom, see that Everliegh did win the day and is able to ascend the throne. So I really like the progression of this story, really like how it was tied all together, organized, and we had this nice string of events that seem like they smoothly joined together to get from point A to point B. So the plot and the point of view are both very, very strong for the kind of book it is and for the kind of story it is. It's really presented in a really nice way. So Jennifer Estep really did a good job with her planning out of each step of the journey and how she wanted to make the story flow. Next, let's go ahead and go over the world. So the world building in this book is really, really unique and really nice. I really enjoyed the uniqueness of this world that it was made up by Jennifer. So we have magic. Magic is a very big element in this particular world. We've got different kinds of magic types that people are born with. We've got masters who use their magic to enhance their tasks or skills, like baking masters who can make the most impressive baked pastries, or cooking masters who cook the best food because they have the way to incorporate magic to make it even tastier. Or gem masters. We have a gem master in this particular book who can use that magic to enhance gems and their magical properties, or to add magic and to make the most beautiful jewelry. We've got magiers that can make things or make elements with their magic. So we've got like lightning or fire or weather magiers that can manipulate fire, lightning, weather, whatever, to suit their purposes. Then we've got morphs, which are people who, I guess they also have a tattoo of whatever they morph into on there that's kind of alive, but they can shift into a creature of some kind. I think the most common one that we see in this story are trolls. So they can shift into some kind of animal or some kind of beast that is locked away inside, and then they can let it out and shift as needed. But they do have that tattoo on their human form that kind of is like their inner self and can look at people and like also move and give expressions and stuff like that based on their innermost feelings. And then we have mutts, who have one aspect of themselves that is magically enhanced, like our main character, Everliegh, who has an enhanced sense of smell because of her magic, or we've got some that have an enhanced speed or enhanced strength, whatever else, because of their magic ability enhances that naturally in them. And then we've got Bologna itself, so we've got this imaginary kingdom, Bologna, and the Blairs are the royalty of that particular country. We've got the Anvaris, we've got the Ungurs, so we've got these different people in different countries that are all politically connected and interacting with each other. And then we've got the gladiator culture for Bologna. So Bologna specifically has very deep roots in gladiator culture because the person who originally founded their country and was like the first royal member was a gladiator and ran the country as such. Of course, they don't specifically run the whole country anymore as a gladiator system, but they really highly like gladiator troops. They see them very very important part of their culture, and they have rules where, you know, you can have a gladiator match against another person in order to claim the throne. So that is how we end our novel with Everliegh going against Versilia in a death match situation in order to claim the throne, and that is part of their laws that they can do that. So gladiator culture in general is very, very big, at least in Bologna, and is part of their laws and part of their everyday life and culture. Like we saw when Everliegh goes to the Glatiator Troop and they are handing out free food, and everybody's going in there, and you don't even need money to go and see these troops per se. I do know there are some ways you do have to pay and earn tickets, but it's a big production and everybody goes, and it's a very big deal to have this traveling troupe come and you can go and see the gladiator matches. And they also have the shows with like the acrobats and the more Cirque du Soleil kind of acrobatics and entertainment shows like that. So very, very big production in this particular country. So I really, really like that uniqueness. I haven't really seen any other high fantasy stories that have like gladiator culture so mixed into their roots and into their history, so I really enjoyed seeing it in this particular book. I think it gives it that uniqueness, that interesting aspect that we don't always get in other fantasy novels, so really, really enjoyed that. And I really enjoy the different magic types. Like, you know, each person seems to be born with something, maybe not always, but they have that test where they're trying to test the kids on, like, okay, what kind of magic you have, and you're supposed to do all these different things. Of course, Everliegh herself is keeping a secret and not letting everybody know about her special ability besides her mutt magic. But depending on who you are, your different skills are kind of laid out for you. Like, if you're really good at cooking, you're most likely going to, or a cooking master, then you're most likely going to become a cook somewhere. You know, that magic kind of places you a little bit in what your niche is going to be. Unless, of course, you're royalty or something else. But that magic ability is a part of what helps you kind of learn your place in the world. And it helps you have more uses, or, you know, uses in certain areas depending on what magic you have. Everliegh is seen as not being very useful because all she has is an enhanced sense of smell. And unless you're smelling like poison or something like that, you're not going to get, or maybe smelling perfumes to sell, you're not going to have tons of job offers based on your magic that somebody else might get based on their magic. So super, super interesting, and super interesting that they call it mutt magic when it's just something that's physically enhanced about yourself. I don't know if they look down upon that kind of magic and that's why they kind of have that term, or if it's related to just, you know, enhanced animalistic nature, like because animals have those enhanced speed, smells, those kind of things, so they kind of relate it to animals. I don't know. But I do think it's very interesting that they have that term for that kind of magic, and that everybody seems to have some little bit of magic. Maybe not everybody in this world, but at least everybody that we're interacting with does show at least some falling under one of the places for what kind of magic they have. And then let's go ahead and talk about some characters. So Everliegh Blair is our most important character. She is our first-person point of view. Of course, she does have a much longer name than that, but we can go ahead and just call her Everliegh Blair. She does like the nickname Evie, and she goes by Evie when she has escaped in order to try and not draw attention to who she is. And she's very used to political games. Very, very used to political games. And that is one of her saving graces throughout this whole book. She's used to the manipulations, she's used to the games, she's used to all the things that she has to go through as being a part of the royal family. And so she also is used to then, as the gladiators are treating her poorly, it's not news for her, you know. So she has strength that comes from her being used to this aspect of people manipulating each other and treating each other poorly, especially her. Because she has always been looked down upon and mistreated by her family and by the other political people who are around her. And she just accepts that and has learned to deal with it. She's 17th in line for the throne, so it's not like she's high up there, like, waiting to be queen. She hasn't been trained to be queen or trained to take over the throne. Because she's very low down the list, it's very unlikely that she is going to make it. And her parents were killed as a child, so she is an orphan who is just at the capital because that's where she has family to take care of her. And she did at one point have a closer relationship with Versilia until she decided she was not. Versilia decided that she was not worth it. So she knows her cousin very, very well. And since Versilia is the main bad person or main bad guy or antagonist of this story, it's good for Everliegh to have that connection and to really know her cousin. She does have an extra magic that nobody knows about until, of course, the end, where she's told some people. But she has an immunity for magic, and we don't know. I don't know where that falls into on the scale of like what different magics they have. It doesn't really classify it in the book. I would love to know your thoughts on what you think that immunity might fall under, of what kind of magic she has. But she has that magic with the enhanced sense of smell. And then she's got the secret ability of the immunity to magic, which it saves her several times, allows her to help herself save herself. She can mute any magic, mutt magic, or Majira magic, or Master's magic, whatever it is that she comes in contact, she can smother and diminish. Now, that doesn't mean it's forever gone. It just means that either it won't kill her because she diffuses it, or she can knock it out for a short while. She uses this technique a couple of different times, once with Emily and with Versilia. So she has that special advantage that she can get in and uses that to help herself. And she doesn't want it to be misused or for her to be, when she was younger and stuff like that, she didn't want anybody knowing about it. Her parents told her not to tell anybody in order to protect herself from people who would want to misuse her or to have her do things that would not be a good thing. So, super interesting to have that little hint of that extra skill just waiting to come out when the time is right. She's very, very stubborn, so that helps her out a lot that she's stubborn. And she's very, very smart. Even from the beginning, she's very, very smart. But as she has more experience in the real world and she's with this gladiator troop and she has to face the harsh reality of things, she becomes even smarter and even more direct with her smartness, with stating her thoughts and her feelings. She develops into a very tough cookie, really. She will not stand down. If you threaten her or you think that you put her in a position that is the underdog position, she will show you that she is no underdog. She will get right back up there and prove you wrong. So she's very tough, she's very snarky, she's no longer holding herself back because she's not in, the political world. She's like, I am out of the political world, I am not going to let myself be walked all over anymore. She relies on she doesn't rely on her status as a royal person, which I really like, is that she is not someone who's like Versilia, who is spoiled and relies on the fact that she is royalty and flaunts that and uses it for her advantage. She has never, even when she was in the palace, she didn't flaunt it or care about it. She just wanted to live out her time peacefully without anybody bothering her and out wishing that she could just not deal with all the political crap. So I do really like that as part of her character. It really makes her even stronger and more worthy of being followed as a leader. She becomes very strong and very confident. Strong not only just in personality and in confidence, but strong as in, like, she learns to battle people and to kill people if she needs to. I mean, she's not used to killing people at the beginning of this story, but as she needs to survive, she figures it out. Not saying that she becomes a killer and she becomes a bad person, but she does learn the value of being able to defend yourself and being able to kill somebody who's trying to kill you, like with Emily and with, like, Brasilia. So, overall, I think she's a really good character. She starts off in one place where she's not quite that confident, strong individual, but she has that potential. And then as the events progress, she becomes stronger and more confident and more the person she needs to be a queen. And then she takes what is hers and takes it away from her. Well, I can't really say it's hers. She was 17th in line for the throne. But she takes what she can from Brasilia so that way she can have a better life for Bologna, because she doesn't want her people to suffer, and she knows that Brasilia would run them into the ground, especially knowing that she's already trying to start a war against a country that didn't do anything and that they were supposed to be making peace with. So, really enjoy Everliegh just in general. She's a really great character, and I really, really like her a lot. Next, let's go ahead and talk about the troop characters. I'm going to just kind of bundle them into one because there's several characters, and I don't think that we need to spend time, at least in this particular discussion, talking about each and every single one of them specifically. I think a lot of the things I want to say is very similar to applying to all of them. So we're just going to go ahead and group them together as one collective. In general, they're a very harsh people. I mean, maybe that just comes from being a gladiator. Maybe that just comes from, you know, their particular backgrounds. You know, they each have a different background. Most of it is not a fun background, and maybe that is why they all become harsh people. But they do also, like I said, live the gladiator way, which could also be like you have to be a tough person to be a gladiator. But they're all very, very harsh people. They don't trust easily at all. It takes Everliegh a long time to even get bonded to them as part of the Glatiator Troop. And at first they do not want anything to do with her. It really just left out that she knew enough about baking and they didn't have a good baker. And one in particular person needs their baked goods. So she just kind of left out in being able to get into this troop and to develop a bond with them, which takes quite a long time for them to truly trust her and care about her. They didn't even trust her when she said, hey, Emily's trying to kill Paloma and you should watch her, and they didn't, and then Paloma almost died. So they're not really the best when it comes to trusting new people or going against what they think is right. So Everliegh really had her work cut out with them. They're genuinely themselves, though, and I do give them all props for that, is that they are 100% themselves from point 1 to the end of the book. So the very first time that we meet them all the way to the end, they are genuinely themselves, which I think is really great. They aren't playing with Everliegh, they aren't making a scene, they aren't trying to manipulate her. They're just, whatever you see is what you get. And that's always a rare quality in a lot of people and in a lot of characters. So all of them ended up being on the up and up all the way throughout the book, and I really enjoy that aspect. That though you don't know them, at least as you learn about them, you don't have to worry about it being taken all away and you're like, oh, actually this person was lying the whole time. They are just genuinely good people, even if they are rough on the outside. But when you finally get to the inside, you can see that they're genuinely good people. And they do develop a genuine concern and a genuine connection with Everliegh. I mean, at the end, they're like, you can take on Brasilia, and you should, and you can make a good queen that we need, and they support her 100% all the way through to the end. Of course, she does save them several times. On the way there, I mean, she saves Paloma, she saves the troop from a Majir and from the Ungers. I mean, she kind of earns it. But they trust her at the end to be a queen, and they don't just abandon her when they find out her real identity. They push her towards that goal of taking the country that needs her under her wing. And they look out for each other, including Everliegh. As once they become she becomes part of the group and they learn to trust her, they truly take her under their wing. They truly trust her. They truly look out for her, and they look out for each other. They all look out for each other. The troop is like a family. And so Everliegh has found this little family that she finally fits into. And I really enjoyed that as well. They're harsh, and there's problems and drama sometimes, but they're all genuinely themselves. They look out for each other, and once you're in the group, they care about you, and they're going to keep that connection strong. And of course, they're very strong fighters, very strong performers, very much strong people, which kind of goes along with everything I've kind of said. They definitely have their own little niche, and I think that they make a really good fit for this book, with the whole tone from the beginning to the end, how they work out, how everything is they just have that feel to them that really fits this book. So I really enjoyed all the characters in this particular book. There is a little bit of a romance kind of between her and one of the troop members, but it doesn't really go anywhere at this point. So maybe in further books we can go ahead and talk about that, but at this point her and Sullivan don't really develop much, so we're going to see if anything moves on from there. And I think that's all I've got for today's discussion on this book. I definitely think if you haven't read it, especially if you don't mind the spoilers that just happened all the way through this discussion, but if you haven't read it, go ahead and check it out. I think it's a really good high fantasy with a lot to offer a lot of readers, and I really enjoyed reading it. We will, of course, discuss more of these books. I believe there's 3 of them in the future, so hopefully you will have discovered a new trilogy that you like as well as I have. Let me know your thoughts on the characters, on the magic or world building, on anything you'd like, Everliegh, whatever. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. I'd love to hear if you are going to be reading this book if you haven't already. I'd just love to know what you think about all of it. And before we go ahead and wrap up, let's go over the trivia question. This past, well, it's been kind of like 2 weeks or something. Sorry about that, guys. But the last question has been, in the Mercy Thompson series, what rank does Warren have in the pack? So, unfortunately, nobody got this particular question right. The answer is he is 3rd in the pack. I did have a close answer from Christian. Do wares have silverware? He said that he was the alpha, but Adam is in fact the alpha in this series. So good guess, close, but he is actually 3rd. If you guys want to know more about the Mercy Thompson series, I do have videos covering the first 3 novels, so you can go ahead and check those out. And then you can know more about Warren and Adam and Mercy for the next trivia question that might come up about them. If you do want to take part in the trivia question and you think that would be fun to go ahead and play with us, I would really appreciate your participation and would enjoy playing with you. Go over to the blog at fantasyfictionfanatics.net. It'll be on that right-hand side on desktop. You'll just have to scroll down a little bit on any of the pages there, and it should be there for you to answer. If you're on mobile, you'll have to scroll almost all the way down, but it will be there for you to answer. While you're on the blog, you're more than welcome to check out book reviews from me, book recommendations, my thoughts on different fantasy things or reading things, stuff about films and other fantasy-related things. I would really love to see you over there, and hopefully you can have more content from me by exploring over there as well. If you have anything you'd like to see either here on YouTube or on the blog, of course let me know, and I'd be happy to put out some content that you are hoping to see. Alright, that is it from me. If you want to go ahead and follow me on social media, that would be wonderful for you to get updates and other things. I have 3 places now that you can go. There is Twitter, which is at fantasyfiction1. There is Facebook, which is /fantasyfiction1. And now I have an Instagram, which is also @fantasyfiction1. I don't have as much on Instagram. I'm still new. I'm still figuring it out. I'm still trying to come up with ideas for on there, but I do have some stuff there, and as I get more ideas, there will be more posted, and I am working on that. So hopefully you will follow me there as well. You can directly message me on any of those platforms, and I would love to have a discussion with you. If down below is not the best place, of course, any of those are a place for you to get a hold of me and let me know what you're wanting or what you're hoping for, or to discuss anything from the channel or blog. Also, I really highly recommend going to the Discord, because the Discord is not only having me on there and a direct message way for me to get a hold of you or you a hold of me. You can also talk with your fellow fantasy fanatics. We have quite a few people over there talking about fantasy and non-fantasy related things. But it might be a place for you to enjoy talking with your fellow fanatics, getting book recommendations, talking about things that you like, talking about stuff on YouTube here with other fanatics, and so on. So, I highly recommend going and joining our Discord. The link is down below, and we would love to see you over there. Alright, I guess that is it from me today. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful Halloween, and I hope you enjoyed coming along with me on this wonderful Mario Party adventure. This Kill the Queen map was really fun for me to go ahead and introduce you to. And next time I'll have to bring my dice so we can actually roll to see who goes first, now that you know what the map is all about. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!